Welcome to the Community Forum. My name is John Guglieltino and I'm your host. This evening we're going to be talking about Danbury Youth Services and some of the new things that are coming up this year and some of the events that are going to be coming up in the next couple of months. With me this evening is an old friend of the show, Jim Walsh. He's the Executive Director, and along with him this evening we have Julie Schmitter. I don't have her name, and she probably said it slightly off, but she's the planner for the Danbury Youth Services. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, first of all, before we get into the subject matter, we'll, like any other guest on the show, if you can give a little bit of a summary about yourself, how long you've been in the area, a little bit about how, you know, your educational background and how you got to your current position, and maybe mention your family.
Okay. John, I've been the Executive Director of Danbury Youth Services approximately 30 years. I have my undergraduate degree from Central Connecticut in Social Science, my Master's in Public Administration from University of Hartford. I worked initially with the state of Connecticut as a field representative to the city of Danbury, going back in 1969. I worked for the city of Meriden as the head of program planning and evaluation for a public social service agency, and for about 2.5 years deputy director of that agency. Came down here just 30 years ago. And at that time, the agency was called DOS, Danbury Area Unified Social Services. We were located at the old jail, 80 Main Street, and now, after several times we've moved, we're at 91 West Street, right across from the food bag. We own our own facility. I'm the executive director of an agency that has about 18 staff people. We're professionally staffed, and we have a board of directors of 21 people. Maximum by our bylaws, and it's also a professional board of directors made up of different committees.
And in full disclosure, I am a member of that board.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Vice chairman.
Right. Julie, you can hit me if I mispronounce your name.
No, you pronounced it correctly.
I got it right. Okay.
My name's Julie Schmitter. I'll say it again.
Okay.
And I've been in Danbury for about 4 years, and I've been at Danbury Youth Services for about 3.5 years. I'm the planner, and what the planner does at Danbury Youth Services is I write all the grants for the agency, and I also supervise some of the after-school programs that we run. Prior to that, I was the assistant city manager in Rye, New York, in Westchester, and my background is I got my undergraduate degree in political science and my graduate degree in public administration. So
very good.
There you go.
Okay. Let's start off with the history of Danbury Youth Services. We already covered some of that, but more specific, you know, where did the idea come? Is it part of state legislation that the Danbury Youth Services exists? Maybe those points that you might want to work into, because it is the Youth Service Bureau of the city of Danbury.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
In 1969, Mayor Gino Arconti, after there was some civil unrest in the Danbury High School, and it was really during the civil rights movement in the United States, decided to give $30,000 to a group of youngsters at Danbury High School to start an organization that would help at-risk youth in Danbury. And at that time, they opened up a program called The Front. For a short period of time, they purchased equipment, computers, things of that nature, and then very quickly it became an agency that was incorporated March 3rd, 1969. The incorporators were basically different executive directors of nonprofit agencies in Danbury, and for 10 years they ran different programs to basically fill the gaps in services and to try to avoid duplication of services in the city of Danbury. And initially they were funded with federal funds. The term of those federal funds lasted till about 78. There was some reorganization. I was recruited for this job then, and very quickly we went from the name Danbury Area Unified Social Services. One of the major programs that they ran at that time was the Liberty House Group Home Program for delinquent girls at Liberty Street. And the legislation started for the state of Connecticut, and we became for the first time the Youth Service Bureau for the city of Danbury 30 years ago, and we were called Danbury Youth Services to fill a gap in services. There was no one else in Danbury running that program. And for 30 years now, Danbury Youth Services has gradually grown with, I believe, planned growth with a number of very dedicated employees, qualified employees. Julie's just an excellent example of the quality of employee that I've been lucky enough to work with over my 30 years. And we've had very good luck with board of directors, such as John as our vice chairman. And we've come to this point now, 30 years, that we're now planning our anniversary, 40th anniversary events from November of '08 to October of '09, different events coming up.
Having to do with the anniversary. That's
Right.
good. Why don't we get into the programs that are offered at Danbury Youth Services? Let's see, Julie, are you covering that? I can't
Sure.
remember. Yeah, okay.
We run a variety of programs at Danbury Youth Services. We have a clinical program, which is our youth and family counseling program, and we have a variety of other programs, prevention, intervention programs, and positive youth development programs. I could list all of them. There's many of them. We provide these programs at no cost to the participants, especially our youth and family counseling program. We turn no one away for their inability to pay, which I think really makes us stand out in the community, because we are helping kids who don't have the families that don't have the money to find a tutor, a math tutor. Also families who are having family crisis and need counseling and that can't afford to see a private counselor. So we're there, and we have quality, educated, licensed staff to run these programs and bring these quality programs to the community. So, did you want to add anything?
So, if you can expand that, because I didn't understand. I think that's something new that I didn't quite get there either. If somebody has a problem with not being able to afford a tutor,
well, we have a one-on-one math tutoring program that's
okay.
offered to middle school students at Rogers Park and Broadview. So a parent has to sign their child up for the program,
right.
But it's offered. And of course, we try to target the children who are having a hard time or struggling in math, so they have to meet certain criteria. But it's often the parents who don't have the money to go elsewhere that this program really helps those kids.
Oh yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. That's usually the mental block of many young people,
right.
or even older people. This is mathematics.
And the great thing about that program is that we take high school students from Danbury High School, and they are the ones who actually tutor the kids at the middle school, and we pay them to do that. So they're the best and the brightest. They're great kids. So. A good thing.
Is it things like algebra? Because that was always a problem with me, but that's another story. Okay, so the different programs, and these are referred to you, all these come by referral from the schools, right? In other words, Johnny Jones is not doing well, or he's got problems at home, Rogers Park might send him, or whatever school it may be.
Right. We also do some outreach in the school, so some parents might hear about it, but if their kids are getting a B or A and they just want them to have extra help, that really doesn't meet the criteria. We're looking for kids who are C or below. And the whole goal of the program is to raise the child's math grades, but also try to improve the CMT scores.
I'm talking about all the programs are based on a referral basis, right?
Not all, but most.
Right.
But most.
Okay.
So We have a girls leadership program right now in Rogers Park, and that's not referral. That's young women signing up to participate in the leadership program. It's an after-school program. So that gives you an example.
And because many of the schools have a community service element now that they didn't have years ago, that you have to do a certain amount of community service, that's one of their ways that they fulfill that.
In some ways,
Yeah.
because as a part of the leadership program is to have a community service project that you have to do in the community. So.
If I could just piggyback on John and what Julie said, a couple other very positive youth development type programs that we have that people probably have heard of. One is called our Youth Employment Service Program. We have youth in Danbury, it's just for Danbury youth, under 16 years of age, that we get jobs. Anything from raking a lawn, shoveling snow, babysitting, all different kind of jobs, cleaning an attic maybe. There's different homeowners in Danbury, many times elderly, that have things that need to be done around their house that they can't because of their age, their inability to do that. And we match up the kids that are signed up with our program, and we match them up with people that need youth to do that work. And then they're employed by the either homeowner, elderly, some cases companies, to get funds in their pocket so they can use it where needed and for themselves or their family. Another very popular program that we've had for quite a while is the Earn a Bike program. John, you, myself, we have bicycles in our cellar, our garage. We don't know what to do with them. Call Danbury Youth Services, 748-2936. Tom Thomason, our new project director, takes in the bicycles that are donated. We have youth in Danbury that don't have bicycles, many times from the public housing sites in Danbury, and we recruit those youngsters with the approval of their parents. We match them up with volunteers for 3 or 4 weeks. The program's funded basically for the tools to fix the bikes, the parts of the bikes, and a part-time project director from the Goodrich Company, churches, groups like the Danbury New Fairfield Women's Club. And at the end of the 3 or 4 weeks, and we do this 4 or 5 times a year in Danbury for Danbury youth, they have a brand new bike to take home with them. Someone that didn't have a bike before, it's recycling a bicycle instead of throwing it in the dump. And I feel environmentally and another positive youth development program, it's a very successful and a worthwhile program.
It's a very green way of doing things, because less pollution.
Yes.
And we provide them with helmets. So.
Right, we're helmets also.
That's very important.
Good point.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about the success in fund development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the cutbacks in public funds, especially state and federal, we've tried to focus, especially with the talents that Julie brings to the position, really refocusing our efforts, not just in fundraising, bringing in more money from the board of directors doing fundraising. Now we're bringing in about between $20,000–25,000, but approaching foundations and corporations, especially for funding our programs. And the period ending June 30th, 2006, we brought in a moderate amount. It was more than we usually had with Julie first coming on board, of approximately $34,000. And once Julie was with the agency more, and she got used to the agency, working with myself and others on the staff and the funding sources, I'm really happy and proud to say that, especially with Julie's work, for the period ending June 30th, 2007, she was primarily responsible for bringing in $164,000 of funds from foundations and corporations. And that's really a feather,
that's very good.
Not just in the hat of Danbury Youth Services, but Julie as our planner.
Right, and that's the kind of thing that's very important today with the cuts that are going on. It's very good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Challenges in the fund development. We've had success and now the challenges. Julie, we're going to talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think where we're going with this is that with successes, there's also challenges with fund development in that, you know, year to year, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the corporations depend on employee contributions and things like that. So priorities change for corporations. One year they might be funding youth programs. Next month or the next year they might be looking into funding,
Or-
you know,
or-
redevelopment in neighborhoods. Something.
Something that's going on now. The economy changes, the stock market goes
Exactly.
down, and all of a sudden, we don't know if we're going to fund this
Right.
in 6
Right.
months when the thing comes up. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess it's important for an organization to sometimes think out of the box, think of other ways to bring in revenues for our organization, of course, because we try not to charge any cost. We don't have membership fees, things like that. We really do depend on grant funding rather than charging our clients a fee for the services. So, you know, it's just a constant. We run so many programs. You have to stay on top of things and make sure all the programs are funded to run them in a quality way. So that's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for all organizations, especially when it comes to operating costs, just the general paying your, you know, quality staff to do their jobs. You know, that becomes difficult because a lot of funding agencies don't want to fund operating costs. They want to fund a program or a project. So
Yeah, this goes for doing this project. The
Right.
Earn a Bike. It's going to. This is how many bikes you rehab, and this is what it is. And
Right.
we're going to give you $10,000, and usually
Right.
salary's not included because
Right.
somebody's got to coordinate
Right.
all of that,
Exactly.
you know, and then you got to look for somewhere else to,
Right.
to take care of it. So it's a constant challenge.
Right. Always hustling.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we're trying to do something in the community, people out there should be aware of that we're not rolling in the dough because what's
No.
here today might be gone in 6 months because the economy is bad.
Right.
Yeah. So.
and I think all nonprofits struggle with that. So
Right.
it's
That's
nothing.
important to say. It's not just Danbury Youth
Yeah.
Services. Okay, then we're going to get into what we got coming up. We have a couple of fundraisers coming up, and this is where the community can maybe help us out in their way. And you're going to talk about it, Jim, what we got upcoming, right?
Yes, John, our two major fundraisers of the year, Friday, April 11th at Danbury High School Gym. The doors open at 5:30. We're going to have our 14th annual benefit basketball game. Danbury Youth Services, sponsored by also Union Savings Bank. They're the title sponsor. And John Klein and his bank have been very supportive of our agency through many years. And for the benefit basketball game again this year, they're going to be the title sponsor. That's something that people, by calling 748-2936, can find out more about the game, or they can visit 91 West Street right across from the food bag.
And I got to make a point that we're restricted by Comcast rules. We can't mention a ticket price
Right,
or
right.
locations.
Right.
So people that have an interest can
Right.
call. And is there anything on the website, possibly? No.
Yes, there's something.
Okay. Well, do we have the website?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think you do have the website,
Yeah.
but it's
Oh, that's right. We put that up.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on.
yeah.
All right. Now, that'll be on when the credits come
Right.
up.
And I did want to quickly just give the 6 teams that are playing and
Oh.
donating their services for free.
Okay.
The Danbury Lawyers, Danbury Bipartisan Politicians, Danbury High School Students, which is really the Danbury High School varsity basketball team for the first time, the Danbury Police, the Danbury JCs, and for the first time we're calling it the Danbury Public School Staff. It's made up partially by the Danbury High School staff and partially by the Broadview Middle School staff. And we're having a lot of things donated to help us out. I promised her I'd wave to her. Christy Strid former board member tonight told me that we got the 3 referees to totally donate their services for refereeing. Recently, we paid between $300 and $400 for the 5 games to have referees.
That's great.
We're trying to bring in as much money as possible for that and keep our expenses down. And the other big fundraiser is on June 24th at the Amber Room, our annual Proxair benefit butterfly breakfast at the Amber Room. We usually open at 7:15 that morning. And we ask people to support that by buying an individual table or donating. And that's our second big fundraiser of the year.
That's great. Very good. Going forward, we're engaged in a lot of internal ways of improving the way we deliver services and how efficient we are. And along that line, we're doing a SWOT analysis and a strategic plan. You want to get into that a little bit? Wait a minute. It's Julie, right? Yeah, Julie.
Sure.
No? All right. Okay.
We've actually been working on putting out a scope of services to get a consultant to come into our organization that has background in nonprofit management to help us basically do a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this person will work with our internal personnel, board of directors, as well as external individuals, other organizations, to look at trends, things like that. This person will also put together a report for us through all the data that's been collected. And from that, it will be the agency's responsibility to put together a strategic plan for the organization that sets goals and objectives. So right now we're working with the Greater Danbury Nonprofit Resources Center to help us with possibly getting a consultant in to assist us in this process. And we're really excited about doing a strategic plan. It will really benefit the organization.
Right, and this is so that people understand out there, you know, at one point in time you may have one strategic plan, but over time it changes.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to do this from time to time,
Yes.
like
Every
like
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years or so, to make sure you're still focused and doing the right thing.
Right.
Okay, so that's great. That just started, and then. Another thing that just came up, I guess, Jim, you want to handle this because I didn't think it was, I thought it was still dormant, and that is the cookbook, I guess, has been resurrected, and you want to talk about the cookbook that we're working on.
Well, the cookbook, John, in conjunction with our 40th anniversary, the incorporation date is actually March 3rd, 2009, and we've decided that the period November 1st of 2008 through October 31st of 2009 will be a period of time that will have different events during the year. Hopefully a gala dinner dance at a local restaurant in October of 2009. One of the things that I can announce in conjunction with this as of today is that we'll be sending out information this week concerning an art contest for Danbury High School students to do the cover of the 40th anniversary cookbook and also artwork within the cookbook that will be used in this 40th anniversary cookbook that we'll be selling hopefully sometime in November of 2008 for the first time as a fundraiser, and to celebrate 40 years of Danbury Youth Services. And we're going to be having the results back to the agency for judging on May 1st, and there will be a cash award for the winner or winners at that time that do a great job in the artwork. So that's really the kickoff of the 40th anniversary celebration that's going to go on for a year.
That's great. Now, we still have a little time. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the board and also where the funds come from. You know, people say, well, geez, you're rolling in funds, but you know, there's some larger funders, and then there's smaller funds, and those are that's what we're talking about. They change from time to time. We've got less than 4 minutes, so maybe we can talk about the board of directors comes from all the area towns, pretty much. There's a concentration in Danbury because we serve in Danbury.
By our bylaws of our agency and our incorporation papers, we're primarily functioned to serve Danbury youth and families. About 85 to 95% of our programs are from Danbury families and youth. However, there are some regional programs such as United Way, like for example the Youth and Family Counseling Program, that basically serve the same region, the United Way of Western Connecticut, for the 8 or 9 towns of the region for that particular program. The board of directors right now is at the maximum of 21 people on the board. They're representative of the area. We have people required, because we're a youth service bureau, to have a youth, a police officer, someone from the school system, and a youth agency. We have many corporate people, psychologists, school people. Very representative across the lines, sexually, ethnically, cultural diversity. We have a number of different committees, and maybe for the last couple minutes, the funding from Danbury Youth Services, we have a budget of approximately $550,000 to $600,000. We get a contribution from the City of Danbury as the Youth Service Bureau. We will be having a public hearing not only on our agency but the whole budget in early April. I would hope that people in the audience would support our agency's request for funding from the City of Danbury at the public hearing. We get money from the towns of Bethel, New Fairfield, State of Connecticut, different agencies, federal government, United Way, client fees, some insurance monies, and as I mentioned, the foundations and the corporations. And then especially because of Julie's work, we have a number of different small funders like churches, Goodrich Company for Earn a Bike, and other programs that are maybe small, but they all add up to help us deliver a really excellent product.
Yeah, that's very good.
I could just name.
We're almost out of time.
Okay.
I figured let's mention the telephone number once again, and you know, for any questions, we got like 30 seconds. So go ahead. The telephone number for the agency.
It's 748-2936.
Okay, so if there's any questions having to do with all the above, everything we talked about, they can call and you'll answer the questions, or someone will answer.
We'll try.
Yes. All right. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to Community Forum. Tune in next week, same time, same station, and we'll have another interesting program at that time. Good night for now, and we'll see you then.